everyone. Welcome to Wealth Redefined. I'm your host, Michael Reynolds, independent financial advisor and owner of Elevation Financial. Thanks for joining me today. Today, we're talking business. Again, I talked business last week, I think, maybe a couple of weeks ago, but a lot of people I work with are business owners. They're entrepreneurs. They are launching businesses. They're running businesses. They're thinking about starting businesses. And I've been a business owner for, over 2 decades now, and it's kind of in my DNA. So I love working with business owners, and I love talking business and entrepreneurship. So today, I also love questions from the folks I work with. And so oftentimes clients I work with will send me questions, and often they're also really great about saying, hey, do you have a podcast episode about this? Or can you do a podcast episode on this? And it's awesome because it gives me topics that are in demand and topics that people want to talk about. So this is one of those topics today. And the topic is, should I take a loan out for my business, or should I use debt in my business? What is the what's the rationale, or what's some of the conversation around whether it's a good idea to take out a loan in my business? So this is a great topic, and I can't wait to dig in. So let's get started. So um, I'm going to start first by saying, like just about everything else in finance, personal or business finance, I really don't like to, I try to shy away from saying, hey, do this or do that. For one thing, because, on a podcast, I don't know everyone who's listening, and I can't really say definitively, what your situation is or what you should or shouldn't do. But more importantly, it's your money, and it's up to you to give yourself permission to make your own decisions and own those decisions, because you know yourself and your situation better than anyone. And so I'm a really big fan of, instead of telling people what to do, I'm much more interested in helping people think through decision making so they can make the best decision for them. So my goal is not to tell you what to do or say this is good or this is bad, but rather to give you some tools to think through decisions. And especially in this case, as we're talking today, decisions about taking out a loan in your business or using debt in your business. So this is not going to be a, hey, do this or do that, or debt is good or debt is bad. It's more of a, here's how to think through the decisions. I think it's more important that you make educated decisions on your own, as opposed to someone out there telling you what to do. So with that behind us, with that kind of a foundation, let's jump into debt, using debt in your business. So a lot of this is going to be true whether you've been running a business for a while or maybe you're starting a new business. So we're going to kind of think through some of the options and the pros and cons here. So first of all, let's understand the issues with debt. Let's understand what comes with debt. If you're going to use debt in your business, what are some of the baggage or the issues that come with using debt? One thing is, you're typically going to pay more in interest. Debt is expensive, relatively. So, if you were to pay cash for some sort of expenditure, whether it's an expansion or equipment or hiring or something, versus taking a loan for it, it's going to be a more expensive decision when you just look at the raw math, because you're paying interest typically on debt. Something else is, it adds risk to your life. This is what entrepreneurs really miss lots of times, because as entrepreneurs, we're very risk tolerant. We are very prone to taking risks, to being comfortable with risk, to just living with risk as a way of life. We just, starting a business, is risky, or it can be risky, relatively, or at least it's perceived as risky. And so, when we're starting a business, or running a business, we're pretty much living with risk at a higher level than a lot of others. And so entrepreneurs typically are often blind to risk, or overlook risk, or downplay the impact of risk in their lives. And so it's important to be aware that debt adds risk to your life. It adds risk to your business and risk to your life. So again, I'm not saying this is good or bad, or whatever. It's more of just understanding the reality that when you use debt, it does add risk. Something else debt does is it locks in a burden on your cash flow. So when you don't have any debt, for example, your cash flow is yours to use as you see fit. When you have debt and you're making payments, then you have immediate demands on your cash flow until that debt is gone, whether it's a monthly payment or some other type of installment payments or interest. It's all a burden on your cash flow. So when you take on debt, you have to be aware of the fact that it is going to be a burden on your cash flow, and you've got to factor that into your decisions. So, if you're saving it for a large expenditure, and you're using cash, you're in control. You're in control of that cash you're spending. You're in control of all aspects of that purchase. If you borrow money for it, then you shift a lot of that control to the bank. The bank is in control now. They could even call the note in some cases. So, there's always that level of control the bank is going to have over you and your business if you're using debt. So, something else to understand is that for some, it can reinforce a pattern of borrowing that we all often struggle with. So many of us in life in general, but especially in business, we kind of normalize using debt for stuff. It's very easy to normalize debt as a way of life and a way of doing business. And often, every decision we make to utilize debt can reinforce the fact that we're normalizing debt, and it can lead to doing the same thing again. So, this is very hard to quantify, very hard to measure, very hard to put into a spreadsheet. And it really involves lots of introspection on your own personality and your own perspectives and philosophies on money and behaviors around money to understand how much of an impact this will be for you. We're really good as humans at rationalizing things and saying we're better at things than we really are. That's why so many people struggle with debt their entire lives, because they're like, oh, I have no problem with debt. I use debt responsibly. And then, down the road, they get into massive trouble and struggle with debt and struggle to get ahead because they over estimated their ability to manage debt. So just be aware that debt has the potential to reinforce a pattern that is very easy to fall into. So, just take that into consideration. So when you're thinking about the situation of borrowing money for your business, let's think through different situations. So the first thing I want to think about is what is the time frame? Can you pay off this debt within a year or two? That's a fairly reasonable time frame. If you're going to take 5 or 10 years to pay off the debt, that adds more risk. Getting a debt paid off within 1 to 2 years, that's lower risk. You're going to get it knocked out quicker. The risk is going to go away faster. But again, if your debt is, 5 or 10 year note, that's a long time to hold that risk, and that adds an overall element of risk to the situation. So, also, what happens if you delay the expenditure and save up instead? I like to think through, okay, what are the what ifs? Often we just kind of run straight to debt because, let's say, we don't have the money. We want this thing to happen. We want expansion or hire someone or buy equipment or whatever. And we're like, okay, the only way to do this is debt. And it's kind of the default. But, think through, what if you just, delay the expenditure and save up instead? What if you, instead of, taking out a 2 year loan, what if you saved up the same amount in payments for 2 years and then did the expansion or then did the thing you want to do? Going with that, is this truly a time sensitive opportunity? For example, did you find the perfect team member and you need to expand now? Maybe that's time sensitive, maybe not, but that's something for you to think through. Did you find a new office location that is perfect? Maybe you're a retail business and you really need this perfect location and it's time sensitive, and it's, that could be a factor. Or is there a strategic marketing opportunity that has a high chance of success? Maybe there's a strategic opportunity that is a conference or something that is, time sensitive or time bound, and everything points to this being or having a high chance of success. That's a time sensitive opportunity that you can't really save up for. You just kind of want to take advantage of now. That could be something to consider. Also, when it comes to time sensitive opportunities or time sensitive needs, is there a business point of failure that needs to be fixed right now? Is there something that can't wait? Do you have outdated tools, equipment, software, something that is going to break soon or give out or is not meeting your needs? Or as customer demands increase, the software you're using is just not meeting those demands efficiently. Do you want to invest in some sort of infrastructure? Is there something that is in your business that's not running well, and investing in infrastructure in some way will solve a problem that will lead to faster expansion, faster growth, more revenue? Next, what is the plan for repaying the loan? This is super important. And along with this, how realistic is your increased income from the expenditure? So how realistic is it that this expenditure that you might be basing on debt is going to lead to increased income or increased revenue for your business. So are you launching a new product or service? Think through, is there really a demand for it, or is this a passion project? As entrepreneurs, we're super good at spending a bunch of time, resources, and money on passion projects. Something we just want to do, something we feel strongly about, a service we want to offer, a product we want to build, something we want to do because we just want to do it. We just have passion behind it. But have we really thought through, is there truly a demand for it? If I launch this product line, or if I buy this equipment to do this new service or whatever, is there truly a demand for it? Maybe the answer is yes. But I think it's really important to think through um, the objective evaluation of, is this truly going to make money? Is there really demand for it, or am I just doing this based on a passion project? So if it's new equipment, are there other options? For example, can you rent equipment? Can you buy something used? Are there other options besides buying some brand new piece of equipment? If it's office enhancements, will this office enhancement or remodeling or new office, will it help you serve more clients? Will it let you scale the business and earn more? Is there a plan for capitalizing on that expansion? If you're hiring, if you want to use debt to hire this new team member, how directly is this team member tied to revenue? Are you hiring someone in sales who you've known for a while, their track record, you're extremely confident that when they hit the ground running in your business, they are going to enhance your sales growth and truly level up your ability to make money? If so, that's something to consider. Or is this a creative or a production team member, someone who's behind the scenes doing things that, will definitely help your delivery of service, but is not terribly tightly tied to revenue or making money? That's something to consider. Next, I also like to think through, what happens if you can't repay the loan? Is this a personally guaranteed loan? Can it damage your credit? Can it end up with a lien against your home? The general harassment and garnishments that might come from it. So, what's the worst case scenario? And you can't repay the loan. What happens? Think through all those scenarios and make sure you're prepared to face those scenarios and to handle those scenarios and to manage the outcome of that. So this is super important. This may be one of the most important things here to think about, and that is to look at your business financial trends. So look at things like revenue, net income, your take-home pay. Those are really important numbers to think through and to look at and evaluate before you decide to take on debt. The reason for that is, I have seen so many cases where business owners use debt to try to salvage the business, or to try to fix a problem that is fundamental to the business that needs to be addressed before taking on debt, or to fix a crisis or something, or change the direction of the business when debt's only going to make it worse. So you want to make sure that your net income and take home pay should either be holding steady or preferably increasing. They really should be increasing. So what that means is, if you're looking at your last, 3 to 5 years of financial statements, and your revenue's going down, your profits going down, you're not paying yourself anymore. Maybe you're even, making a little bit less here and there, or skipping paychecks because of issues. It can be very tempting to say, well, if I just could borrow this big chunk of money, I could invest in my business and I could do better. Well, often there's something more fundamentally wrong that needs to be fixed first, and debt will only magnify and make it worse. I've seen so many businesses that they're on a kind of a downward swing when it comes to financials. Their profitability is going down, their revenue is going down. They borrow money and they keep going down, and they can't pay off the loan, and suddenly they're in a worse situation than even before. So you want to make sure that you have a track record and a pattern of profitability, and preferably increasing numbers. Now, again, without debt, it can, in some businesses, it can be hard to dramatically increase numbers. So we're not looking for, a dramatic increase necessarily, but you want to see that you're not going down. You want to at least be holding steady, or at least see an increase over time. So that proves basically that you have efficient production, you have good business systems, you have a pattern of making money. And when all those things are in place, that puts you in a better position to properly use debt to expand. So if your numbers are decreasing, you want to fix that first. Figure out what's going wrong and why your revenue, income, profitability is down first before even thinking about borrowing money. Again, it can be very destructive to borrow money with an effort or a mindset to save your business, when in reality that could do more harm than good. So bottom line, understand the risk. Understand that borrowing money adds risk. I'm not saying it's good or bad or you should or shouldn't do it, but borrowing money generally in all cases comes with risk. And you have to understand what that risk is and decide if you're comfortable with it. Keep the time frame for repayment short if possible. If you're going to borrow money, the shorter the time frame, the better in general. There's always exceptions, but in general. Determine if the expenditure is truly time sensitive. If your reason for borrowing money is truly time sensitive, that could be a potential reason to decide to take on the debt. If it's truly not time sensitive, I'm a big fan of avoiding debt and saving up instead, or thinking of other ways to accomplish this move or this expenditure without borrowing money. You want to be able to articulate the likelihood of a return from the expenditure with a time frame. Again, you want to make sure that you have a clear plan for how this loan or how this debt is going to make more money, how this is going to give you a return on the business or in the business operations. How is it going to benefit your business and make more money? And make sure this is truly an opportunity for expansion and not a hope for a quick fix. So again, if your business is in trouble, if your business is struggling, if you are seeing this debt as a way to save your business, I would look much more carefully at what you're truly doing here, because often that can do more harm than it does good. So I hope that is helpful in thinking through the decision to use debt, to borrow money in your business, to take out a loan. I don't make it a secret that I'm fairly resistant to debt. I think debt is often a last resort in most cases. I think that many business owners, especially, will jump to debt too quickly as a perceived solution. And so I think it's really important to think through all of these scenarios, all of these options, all of these considerations before considering taking on debt. Now, on the flip side, to be fair, credit where credit's due, I have seen business owners take on debt that, maybe, I seem risky at the time, but they thought through the scenario carefully. They had a clear path for how the debt could help them purchase equipment, for example, to deliver a service they couldn't otherwise do or couldn't do efficiently. It allowed them to serve more clients quickly, make more money quickly. They paid off the debt and their business is now booming. I've seen scenarios where debt worked very well in a business and has truly helped the business kind of leap into a new level of operations and truly expand faster and accelerate faster. It does happen. I wouldn't say it's. I'm not sure what percentage of the time it succeeds or fails necessarily. It depends on a lot of factors. But again, I also see on the flip side that many businesses use debt too quickly and without thinking it through. So again, risk is important. Time frame, is it time sensitive? Get the return hammered out. Figure out what the return is. Make sure it's truly an opportunity for expansion, not a hope for a quick fix or a passion project. Really important things to think through. So again, I love talking with business owners. So if you want to talk through any of these scenarios or any of these questions or considerations, I would be more than happy to talk through with you. So you can go to my website, which is elevationfinancial.com, and you'll find a button on the homepage that says book a complimentary money session. And that is my tool for allowing people just to reach out and have a quick conversation. No charge for that. Pop your questions in the scheduling tool as you book a meeting online, and we'll chat and I'll talk through any kind of struggles or challenges you're having I want to talk through. So with that, thanks for joining me today. As always, have a great day. We'll see you next time.